Hey everybody, over the last couple of videos I've been bringing you the Ultimate Cheap Linux Server series, and this is part 3, in which I will show you how to set up a Linux virtual machine on Proxmox that you can game on, and you will be able to sit on your living room and game relax, or if you please, you can stream your gaming into another device so that you can game on the go while keeping the power of the virtual machine with the full GPU. If you're a subscriber of the channel, you already know that I already made this video. This is not deja vu. On my other video, a couple of members of the community rightfully pointed out that I made some configuration mistakes, and I actually did a bunch of stuff that was really unnecessary and it was super complex. And rather than pinning a comment with a bunch of corrections, I'm just going to remake the whole video because I want this to be the ultimate guide. I literally want somebody to be able to look at this video and follow step by step by step and set up a Linux gaming VM so that they can tell Windows to F off. All right. Now remember, this is part 3. In part 1, we went over the intro, the goals of the overall project, and every part of the project. So I would highly recommend that you look at the first part. In the second part, we just installed Proxmox on an HP Elite desk, and I showcased some of the hardware. So if you want to check those series out and follow along, please go and revisit those videos. Every link is going to be in the description, not just for the video series, but all the software used and all of the parts for this server build. In this particular video, if you want to follow along, all you need is a Proxmox server, aka any computer with Proxmox installed as the operating system, a dedicated GPU on that system that we can pass to our gaming virtual machine. Then we're going to configure the virtual machine correctly so that you have optimal settings for gaming. Then we're just going to configure Ubuntu. Once we boot up the machine, we're going to install Steam. We're going to pass a Bluetooth dongle so that we can pair our Xbox controller. Then we're going to install Sunshine so that you can stream to any Moonlight client. Basically, Sunshine is the open source implementation of NVIDIA streaming technology, and the good thing is that you can use it with any GPU, not just NVIDIA. You can use it with an Intel GPU, AMD, etc. And then we're just going to pass the GPU. We're going to finally pass it to the virtual machine after we do all that configuration. Then we're going to reboot, and we're going to install the NVIDIA drivers, and we're just going to use the Ubuntu software repository for this. Then we're just going to do a couple cleanups, like basically ease of use configuration. One of them is we're going to enable Steam compatibility mode. This is what's going to download all the Proton stuff for compatibility for gaming on the VM. Then we're going to set up auto startup scripts so that Sunshine auto starts, and then Steam's big picture mode auto starts, so that you have the user interface of Steam rather than the Ubuntu one, which you can use the controller for. Alright, so now that you got all of that, let's get started. So what we need to do now is configure Proxmox so that the GPU is not being used by the host system. So for that, it's going to be a bunch of commands, so just relax. So what we're going to do it right here from the web interface. So we're going to click on the name of your node. In our case, is code fallacy. We're going to go to shell. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure that the GRUB configuration allows for IOMMU. We're going to type nano etc default GRUB. Now, once you do that, you should be editing this file. We need to go here to GRUB command line Linux default. Right here at the T space, we're going to add Intel IOMMU equals on. And after that, we're going to do Control O, enter Control X. Also, I want to make sure that everybody is clear. This is coming from the Reddit Proxmox GPU guide. All of you can just go here and read this huge guide. You see Intel IOMMU on. If you have a AMD CPU, you would do this. So please follow this guide. Even though it's 6 years old, the author keeps editing it to make it up to date. So once you make that change, we're going to do update GRUB. GRUB has been updated. Now we need to modify the BFIO parameters. So if you go here, the BFIO modules, what we need to do is edit this file nano etc modules. We're going to paste this configuration at the very bottom. So make sure that we go down and paste. So once these parameters have been set, we're going to do Control O, enter, Control X. The guide then tells you that we need to do IOMMU interrupt. And the funny thing is, he says, I'm not going to get into this because this is a pretty complex thing. So just trust me, bro. We're going to go and paste these same commands in there. Then we're going to blacklist the drivers. Basically, this is saying, hey, Proxmox, you're not allowed to use drivers with NVIDIA or Novu. That way, Proxmox doesn't try to use the GPU itself for its host functionalities, and it will free us up to assign it to a virtual machine. All right, so now that we've done this, we need to run lspci and find the NVIDIA video and audio drivers. So if you go here, it will give you a list of PCI connections and stuff. We need to search for the NVIDIA 0.0100.0, which is the VGA. This is for video output. And if you scroll a little bit farther down, you have 0100.1, and that is for audio. Okay, so now that we have that, if we go back to the guide, we can be sure that it's 01. So let's just copy this command, and it will list out the vendor ID of those PCIe devices. So if we paste that, we should have two inputs for NVIDIA. And what we need to do is we need to make sure that we have access to this one. This is the vendor ID for the video driver, and then this is the vendor ID for the audio driver. Okay, so he's telling us, hey, you need to run this command, but make sure that you replace the IDs with the correct ones, and it's going to add it to the VFIO config. Okay, so this is very important. Copy this command and then open up some notes, some text editor. All right, so we're going to paste that command in here, and then we're going to replace the IDs with our IDs. So copy that, then switch back to the text editor, and then this first ID is going to get nuked, and then Control V, and then let's go back. Copy the second one, and then the second ID is going to get nuked again. Oh, 2291, 2291. Okay, so now that we have that command, we're going to copy this command from our text editor and just paste it in here. And one last time, double check 2584, 2584, 2291, 2291, and enter. And that's basically it. We just need to update, just run like an update and then like restart the system. I'm gonna wait for it to download the ISO file. So update init ram fs. All right, no errors really logged into the system. It just says that it ran the script, which is good. And we need to reboot. Yes. Now the guide, the guide on Reddit continues on for a Windows 10 virtual machine. However, I'm not interested in the Windows 10 virtual machine side of things. So what I am going to do is I am going to install Ubuntu. To get started, you need to go to your Proxmox VE dashboard, click on your node, make sure you expand this chevron, go to local. Then you will see a menu option for ISO images, and then we're going to download from URL. You can see I already have it, but just in case you don't know how to get it, you're going to click download from URL. Then we're going to go to the Ubuntu download page. You need to get to this page, but instead of saving the ISO, what you want to do is copy this link right here, the download now. Copy link, go back to your dashboard, paste that link. You can give it an alternative name. It's not really necessary. I think Ubuntu will do just fine. Before you download it, just query the URL so that you know that you're getting the right type of information. You should be getting an XISO image, and the image should reflect, the size should reflect the image. Then you're going to download it. However, because I already downloaded this particular ISO file, we don't really need to download it in this video. Then we're going to create the actual virtual machine. Go to your node. Then we're going to create virtual machine. And here, this is the wizard configuration. We're going to choose a virtual machine ID. I like to keep it custom, so let's go with 555. Then we're going to give it a name. In this case, we're going to go Ubuntu, so that we know that this is our gaming VM. We're going to click next. For the ISO image, if you click on this drop-down menu, you should see that a bunch of ISO options that you downloaded will show up. For this video, we're going to choose Ubuntu AMD 64 ISO. Make sure that the type is Linux and then the kernel is at 6.x. Then we're going to click next. This is where I made a couple of errors last time, so this is where I want to make it better. So for your machine type, make sure that you select Q35. This is going to enable compatibility and additional PCIe features to be passed to the virtual machine. For your BIOS, click down here and select OVMF UEFI. For storage, we're going to select the only storage option that we have at this moment. We're going to add a TPM. We're going to leave SCSI controller as default. For the TPM, we're going to select once again our storage. We're going to go next. Then we need to go here and assign storage. We're going to assign 128. Then we're going to go next. We're going to assign 4 cores to this machine. Actually, let's make it 6. I always say 4, but for this purpose, we're going to test it with 6, and then we're going to drop the cores later on. For your CPU type, this is another error that I made. Instead of choosing x86 or KVM, you need to select host. This will allow the virtual machine to communicate with additional CPU protocols. Because of this, I could not launch a couple of games on Steam. And after making sure that the CPU type was host, it started working once again. Then we're going to go next. For memory, we have the total system has 32 gigabytes, so let's assign 16. For network connectivity, everything looks very well. Nothing to do here. And then this is just a summary of all of the changes. So let's just click finish. And just like that, once you expand your node, you should see the virtual machine that we created, which is 555. In order to configure Ubuntu in this machine, we're going to go to the console, and then we're going to start the machine. What this will do is that it will take us through the Ubuntu installation wizard so that we install Ubuntu on this virtual machine. Let's go and try and install Ubuntu, the very first option, and hit enter. Let's see if I can make this full screen. Even better. Awesome. So the Ubuntu installation media has started. This is the installation wizard. Because this is just a virtual disk, we're just going to assign the entire disk to Ubuntu and then just select next and install third-party repositories and third-party codecs. English, next, next. We're going to keep it as English. We're going to use the wired connection because the network interface is just virtualized and it comes up as wired. There is an update to the installer, but we don't care about that at this moment. We want to install Ubuntu rather than trying it, of course. We want the full interactive installation. Just the default installation is going to do. Here is the one thing that we gotta make a change. We've gotta install third-party repositories. This is what will allow us to download the NVIDIA graphics card. And then just for shits and giggles, third-party codecs, MP3, MP4, MOV. And then just select the first option because, like I said, this is an entire virtualized disk and we're just going to assign it to this virtual machine. Then you're going to create your account. For me, I am LPM. Then your computer name, this is a very long name. Let's make it a lot easier. Let's call it Ubuntu. And because this is the second iteration of the video, let's just name it Ubuntu 2. My username is going to be LPM and then select a secure password. Then we're going to click next. We're going to select our time zone. I am in the East Coast. If you're in any of this area, just select your location. Then we have a final review and just click install. And the installation wizard is going to take care of everything for us at this point. All right, so after a couple of minutes, the installation is going to complete. What we're going to do is we're going to restart now and remove the ISO file which we're using for the installation media so that it can boot off the virtual disk. So let's make this small screen. What we're going to do is restart now. Then we're going to go to hardware. We're going to go all the way where the CD DVD drive live and make sure that we're removing the Ubuntu desktop ISO. So remove that, yes. Then we can go back to the console. It's going to be connected. We have installed it. We have removed the installation medium and hit enter. Let's make this full screen again. And now we have LPM. So click on the user, enter your password. Then we are welcomed by the welcome wizard. We're just going to click next. We do not want to enable Ubuntu Pro. We do not want to enable telemetry. And finish. Well, the first thing that any user has to do that uses Linux is do an app update. Now, the good thing about Ubuntu is that it has a couple of applications that will handle this for you, but you know, this is kind of like a rite of passage. So sudo apt update, then sudo apt upgrade, and then the Y flag for yes. This is going to take a couple of minutes, so just relax and chill. Alright, so the initial update has completed. What we need to do now is install Steam. Now you can go here to the App Store, App Center, and we're going to look for Steam rather than using the terminal so that everyone understands that you don't need to use the terminal other than that initial update. See, we have Steam showing up. We're going to install it, and then we're going to choose which channel I want to stay in the stable release. So let's install it. Then we're going to add our sudo password. While we have the store open, let's install Sunshine. Sunshine is the technology that's going to allow us to stream our gameplay into any other device, whether it is a cell phone or a laptop. Let's go and install Sunshine. It may not be available. See, only Moonlight, which is the streaming client, is available, but not Sunshine, the server. That's all right. What we can do is just go here, open the web browser, and go to the GitHub repository for Sunshine. Let's go to releases down here. And then we're going to select the Ubuntu package. So go to asset. Well, these are pre-release candidates. You need to scroll all the way down to where it says latest. Oh, this virtual machine scrolling is a little bit weird. All right, so you're going to go where that green tag latest live. Then you're going to scroll slightly down and you'll see that there are some assets associated with it. Now, this virtual machine is running on an AMD or x86 architecture and it is 64 bits. So it needs to be AMD 64. Make sure that you don't accidentally select ARM 64, and this particular Ubuntu image is 24.04. And here it is. This is the deb file that we need to download. Let's open it right here in the available folder. Then we just double click. You will get a warning saying that it is unsafe because it is not coming from one of the approved Ubuntu repositories, and that's okay. I trust the Sunshine development team. Yes, install. It's going to ask you for your sudo password. So what we're going to do is we're going to reboot the machine. While the machine is shut off, we're going to pass our GPU. So we are going to go here, we're going to click, and then we're going to power off. Rather than restart, we're just powering it off. Let's make this small screen again. Then we're going to go to hardware, add, we're going to select the PCI device. We're going to select raw device. Then we're going to select the NVIDIA Corporation driver, and we're going to add all functions. We're not going to make it the primary GPU just yet, because once we make it the primary GPU, then we lose access to the VNC that Proxmox provides for us for configuring it. We're going to set this last, add, and now we're going to start the machine. So if we go back to console, let's start the machine now. Now that it is running, we're going to download the NVIDIA drivers and go from there. Let's make this full screen. Log in. All right, so we're finally back on the Ubuntu desktop. if we open up a terminal, we can run the command lspci, and if we make it full screen, one of these should be the NVIDIA Corporation. So on Ubuntu, we're going to open up the app menu, and we're going to go to software and updates. Then we're going to click on this little tab for additional drivers, and then Ubuntu is going to search for drivers that it thinks are relevant. In this case, the NVIDIA 3050. So you can choose any of these. I actually do not have an opinion on proprietary versus Nouveau versus open source. I don't care, right? I'm just going to select the one that I think works best, which is the proprietary and tested NVIDIA drivers. We're going to apply changes. Then we're going to authorize the installation of these drivers. And Ubuntu is going to take care of everything for us in terms of driver setup. And while it is installing, we can install nvtop. So sudo apt install nvtop, which is a utility like top that allows us to see GPU utilization. Oh, I guess it can't do any of that because it's installing the driver. All right, so we have installed nvtop, and the changes won't take place until a reboot. Even the software is telling us to reboot. You need to restart the computer to complete the driver changes. We will do that in just a second. Right now, let's just set up Steam. Steam is going to do a bunch of updates in the background. It always does this. Now that Steam has started, what we need to do is go to Steam, Settings, and scroll down to Compatibility. Then we're going to enable it. This will download Proton and set up all of the compatibility stuff for you without you having to do much of anything. Once we enable this, it will require us to restart Steam. So let's just restart Steam right now. Then Steam is just going to download a bunch of stuff to set up the compatibility mode. While that's happening, let's pair our Bluetooth device. I don't know if you remember, but we have a gamepad that we need to play on, or play with, I should say. So in order for us to pair this, we need to pass the Bluetooth adapter that we have on our computer so that Ubuntu recognizes it, and then we can just pair this controller. So in order to do that, let's exit the VNC big picture mode. Then we're going to go to hardware. We're going to add a USB device, then use USB port, and the device should show up here. This is a general Bluetooth adapter, some no-name brand from Amazon. We're going to add it. Now we can go back to the console, the VNC stuff. Let's make it full screen. Well, let's minimize Steam. So here we now have the Bluetooth settings. So if we go here, Bluetooth settings, we can now pair a device. So what we need to do is turn on our Xbox controller and then hit this button right here until it's flashing really fast. That means that it is in pairing mode, and you can see the Xbox controller has shown up, and you can see the Xbox stopped flashing and it says connected, and if we click on it, it recognizes that it is a joypad. Actually, before we reboot Ubuntu, let's make sure that we enabled SSH. Go to System, Remote Desktop. We want to enable Remote Desktop, allow Remote Desktop Control, and then we're going to set a password here. So this will allow us to enable Remote Desktop, and we will also want to enable SSH, Secure Shell. We want to enable it. It's going to ask us for our password. All right, so for better compatibility, what we want to do is install IOMMU guest agent, which will allow Proxmox to communicate a lot better with the virtual machine. This is something that was brought up by another user as well. So let's open up the terminal. Then we're going to type sudo apt install, then IOMMU guest, and then agent. Yes. This will allow the Proxmox host to communicate a lot better with the VM, and it will allow us to know what the IP of the virtual machine is. So now that we have secure shell enabled and remote desktop, if for some reason we lose access to the VNC, we should still be able to access the machine. All right, so finally, we're going to restart. All right, so the virtual machine has started. What we're going to do is we're going to do two things for ease of use. We're going to automatically start Sunshine so that we can stream on any client. And then we're also going to enable login without a password, and we're going to auto start Steam in big picture mode. To do that, we are going to go here and then just type startup applications. Startup applications. Then we're going to add, the first thing we need to do is enable Steam to automatically start in the gamepad UI. So this is Steam big picture mode. Then we're going to do Steam as the command, and then the flag gamepad UI. And then add, we're going to add Sunshine, and this one's pretty simple. Just type Sunshine in the name, and then Sunshine in the command, and it's already set up. We now need to enable automatic login. So go to settings, go to system, select your user, unlock. You're gonna be prompted for your password once again, and then automatic login. What this will do is that when you start the machine, it won't even ask you for your password. However, it will ask you for your password if you're trying to install things. Let's make sure that the NVIDIA drivers are actually taking. So we can open up the terminal. Now we can do NV top, and you can see that it is recognizing the NVIDIA GeForce 3050. It is telling you a bunch of statistics about the card itself, the GPU clock, what is being used, a bunch of stuff from GNOME at the moment. So the GPU stuff is already set up. Let's open up Steam. So while Steam is open, we can install one of the games to test for compatibility. What we're going to install is God of War. I know that the rumbling features on that thing work. To test that the controller works, let's open up Steam in big picture mode. The controller says that it is connected. And as you can see, the controller already works. My question is whether or not it supports rumbling features. By hitting the Xbox controller, go to settings, go to controller. Okay, so it is recognizing that it has an Xbox One S controller. Device inputs test. Alright, so the rumble features work without us having to install the X1 utility. I guess that was an additional step that wasn't necessary in my last video, so I'm kind of glad that I'm redoing this. Alright, so let's exit big picture mode. Okay, so the last thing to do is to configure Sunshine. Sunshine is the technology that will allow us to stream our games into another device like a phone or a tablet or a laptop, and then we can game from that device itself. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and open Sunshine. It will display in the top corner. We're going to open Sunshine. You will get a warning message saying that this site doesn't have HTTPS, and that's okay. So we're going to go to Advanced, and then accept the risk and continue. This is the Sunshine configuration. You just need to create a local account. So for me, I'm just going to use some basic stuff, create a password and a username. Then we're going to click login. It will automatically ask you for that same password. So to go to the dashboard, log in, not now. We're going to see this error stuff. This is happening because we haven't enabled the primary GPU on the Proxmox side of things. This is okay, this is expected. So what we're going to do now is we're going to open up a Moonlight client, and then we're going to try to sync with the Sunshine server. Okay, so this is the Moonlight in my MacBook. All right, so once we have that pin, we're going to go to the Sunshine dashboard, go to the pin, enter the pin here, 1819, and then give it a name and hit send, and it will allow you to synchronize the Moonlight client. So if we switch back to Moonlight and we click on Ubuntu, we should have options to start it up. If we click on the desktop one, we should be able to stream our desktop. All right, and just like that, we have Sunshine paired. So in case we lose VNC access, we should automatically have everything set up. So now that we've done that, we can finally restart the virtual machine. All right, so once you have Moonlight paired with Sunshine, you have a couple of options. Either you can play on your TV or you can stream games. So before we start the machine one last time, let's make sure that we are enabling the primary GPU option for the GPU PCIe pass-through. So let's go to the PCIe device, double click on that, and make sure that you click primary GPU. Once we do this, we're going to lose complete access to the VNC in the Proxmox dashboard. So let's select OK. And once we start it, now we can switch over to our Moonlight client. And once it should automatically start up Sunshine, and it should automatically launch Steam. Ubuntu 2, I'm just waiting for it to be good to go. All right, so the warning triangle went away, which means that Sunshine has automatically launched. All right, so it automatically loaded Steam, which is great. So we are in our Moonlight client. And if I enable the Xbox controller, it should automatically sync via Bluetooth. There it is, it stopped flashing. So I should be able to use the controller. Oh man, this is so awesome. I wonder if God of War already installed. Oh, I guess it's still in progress. I guess we can't really play it. Hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. I know that I had to remake this video and it was a pain in the ass, but the reality is that I made a couple of mistakes, some rookie mistakes, and I want this to be a definitive guide so that anybody that's trying to do this doesn't have to refer to many resources. The one thing that I would improve in this version is that I would do the whole Proxmox preparation, isolating the drivers, but we did that in the previous video. So please watch the previous video for the Proxmox configuration setup so that you are able to pass GPUs to your VM. This was just setting up the VM for gaming.